Close your eyes and picture it for a moment. The sound of flamenco echoing down cobblestone streets, the glow of orange trees heavy with fruit, and the kind of golden light that makes every building feel like a painting. Seville is one of those cities that feels almost too beautiful to be real, the kind of place that draws people in with its romance and warmth. But here's the question that every expat eventually asks. Does that postcard charm actually translate into a livable day-to-day reality? It's one thing to stroll through the old town on vacation, but it's something entirely different to navigate the daily rhythm of life here. That's exactly what we're diving into today, because while the city can sweep you off your feet, it can also test your patience in ways you might not expect. By the end of this video, you'll know whether Seville is just a beautiful stop on your travel list or a place you could genuinely call home. If you're new here and you care about uncovering the truth behind expat living, make sure to hit subscribe, because this is just the beginning. One of the first things you'll notice about Seville is how effortlessly it invites you to slow down and simply walk. The city wasn't built around cars, it was built around people. Streets narrow into winding lanes where every turn feels like a discovery, from shaded plazas with bubbling fountains to courtyards framed by jasmine and stone archways. You don't need to plan an itinerary here, just stepping outside your door becomes an adventure. And for expats, that level of walkability changes the way you live. Daily errands become strolls rather than commutes, and you begin to feel more connected to the rhythm of the city. Even the bike lanes, which thread through much of Seville, make it easier to live without relying heavily on a car. Beyond the movement of daily life, Seville almost overwhelms you with culture. It isn't confined to museums or historic landmarks, though there are plenty of those. It's in the haunting sound of flamenco spilling out from a bar on a Tuesday night, or the towering shadow of the cathedral as you cross a square. It's in the way fiestas take over the entire city, where streets transform into stages, and everyone seems to be swept up in the same current of celebration. For an expat, that immersion in history and tradition means you're never just living in Seville, you're participating in something much bigger than yourself, a continuity of stories that goes back centuries. Then, there's the practical side that makes all of this not only enchanting, but accessible. Compared to many Western European cities, Seville offers a surprising balance between cost and quality of life. Dining out isn't treated like a luxury here, it's woven into everyday living. A few euros can buy you tapas that rival anything you'd find in far more expensive destinations. Public transport is affordable, reliable, and designed to complement the city's walkable nature. Even something as simple as electricity or rent feels more manageable here than in many other European hotspots. That sense of value doesn't just stretch your budget, it gives you freedom. Freedom to eat out more often, to explore without second-guessing every expense, to enjoy life rather than simply calculating it. But maybe the most endearing pro of all is how food ties seamlessly into community. Tapas culture means sharing is the default. Meals aren't rushed, they're drawn out with conversation, laughter, and an unspoken understanding that life happens around the table. And then, there's the small but surprisingly powerful detail: no tipping culture. That alone makes dining more straightforward, less transactional, and consistently affordable. For expats, it feels refreshing not to carry the mental math of how much extra to add, and over time, that simplicity becomes part of the comfort of living here. Seville's pros don't just make the city livable, they make it magnetic. It's a place where daily life feels like an experience, where culture isn't something you visit, but something you live, and where your money stretches just enough to let you actually savor it all. For all of Seville's beauty, there are some hard truths that every expat eventually faces, and the first one hits as soon as summer arrives. The heat here isn't just warm, it's relentless. Temperatures regularly climb to 35 or even 40 degrees Celsius, and suddenly the charming plazas that felt so inviting in spring turn into open-air ovens. Daily life shifts into survival mode, where every decision revolves around shade, siestas, and whether your air conditioning can handle another hour without giving out. For expats who aren't used to this intensity, it can feel overwhelming, even isolating, because the city itself slows down to cope. The heat becomes more than a nuisance. It's a force that shapes the rhythm of life. And then there are the crowds. Seville is no secret. Millions of tourists flood into the city every year, drawn by the same cathedrals and festivals that make it so enchanting. For locals and expats, this can mean streets clogged with tour groups, restaurants overflowing, and prices in tourist-heavy areas nudged upward. During peak season, just getting from one neighborhood to another can test your patience. The charm doesn't disappear, but it can get buried under the sheer volume of visitors who see Seville as their weekend escape rather than your daily home. On a more practical level, grocery shopping can feel limiting for expats. especially those accustomed to a wider international selection. While the fresh produce and local specialties are excellent, finding certain ingredients, whether it's Asian spices, American comfort foods, or even specific vegetarian products, can be a challenge. This isn't a deal breaker, but it does require adjustment. Many expats either adapt their cooking or rely on occasional trips to specialty stores, which are fewer and farther between. It's a reminder that while Seville is deeply authentic, it isn't always globally convenient. Then there's the soundtrack of the city, which can be as frustrating as it is lively. Seville doesn't go quiet when the sun sets. In fact, that's often when it wakes up. Families gather in plazas, children play late into the night, and bars spill laughter and music into the streets. Add in festivals, fireworks, and the occasional marching band, and you quickly realize that peace and quiet aren't always part of the package. For night owls, this can feel exhilarating, but for light sleepers or those used to earlier routines, it can be a real strain. Finally, there's the matter of attitude. Sevillanos are proud, and their directness can sometimes come across as brusque or unwelcoming to newcomers. It's not hostility, it's simply a cultural style that doesn't always prioritize pleasantries. The good news is that once you move past the initial formality, warmth and generosity often follow. Friendships here may take longer to build, but they tend to be deeper and more genuine when they do. Still, that adjustment period can feel lonely or disheartening for expats expecting instant connection. Seville's cons don't erase its magic, but they do complicate it. They remind you that this isn't just a dream destination. It's a real, living city, with challenges that demand patience, flexibility, and a willingness to adapt. Notice, one of the first surprises that catches almost every expat's eye is the sea of orange trees lining the streets. They're stunning, especially in spring when the blossoms perfume the air. But here's the twist. The fruit isn't sweet. In fact, it's bitter to the point of being inedible, and locals use it mainly for marmalade or export. It's a small reminder that what looks picture perfect isn't always what you expect, and yet it becomes one of those details you grow oddly fond of. Then there's the plumbing quirk that raises eyebrows. In many older buildings, toilet paper can't be flushed. Instead, you toss it in a bin beside the toilet. It feels awkward at first, maybe even inconvenient, but after a while, it becomes second nature. The same goes for the daily rhythm of life shaped by the siesta. Shops close in the afternoon when the heat peaks, and the city seems to pause. At first, it might frustrate newcomers, but soon you realize it's part of a slower, more humane pace of living. And of course, the social quirks stand out too, like children playing outside well past midnight or the refreshing absence of tipping culture. Eating out feels less transactional and more about connection, and those late-night family gatherings speak to a lifestyle that values community above rigid schedules. These quirks may surprise you at first, but over time, they're exactly what makes Seville feel so distinct and unforgettable. Seville isn't for everyone, and recognizing that early can save you a lot of adjustment headaches. This city shines brightest for those who thrive on culture, walkers who delight in discovering hidden plazas, foodies eager to dive into tapas and local markets, and anyone who appreciates history woven into daily life. If you can embrace the slower rhythms, adapt to a bureaucracy that takes its time, and don't mind trading modern conveniences for charm, Seville can feel like a dream turned reality. On the flip side, there are those who might find living here more challenging. If you rely heavily on large international grocery stores or expect a wide variety of imported goods at your fingertips, you may need to adjust your expectations or your weekly shopping routine. Night owls who crave quiet streets or light sleepers sensitive to late-night activity could struggle with the city's lively, ongoing soundtrack. And, of course, if extreme heat makes you uncomfortable or limits your energy, the summer months can feel punishing rather than pleasant. Ultimately, living in Seville rewards flexibility and curiosity. It's a place for those willing to lean into its rhythms, savor its quirks, and celebrate the richness of a city that never stops offering new experiences just around the corner. Seville is a city of contrasts, magical streets and vibrant culture paired with scorching summers and bustling crowds. Living here as an expat means embracing both the enchantment and the challenges, from late-night plazas to quirky local customs. By understanding the pros and cons, you can decide whether this city aligns with your lifestyle, priorities, and tolerance for its unique rhythms. If you're already living in Seville, we'd love to hear your perspective. What surprised you the most, and what makes it feel like home? Sharing your experiences can help others see the city through real eyes and decide if they're ready to take the leap. If you found this guide to living in Seville helpful, be sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. For more insights, check out our other videos too to help you plan your next adventure.